with Queen Bee Creations, and I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, and I go live right here on Facebook and YouTube every Monday and Thursday at 2:30 to show you guys something in the Stampin' Up! Paper crafting world. As a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, everything I use is Stampin' Up! Related and can be purchased on my online store, and I would love to earn your business. Today we are playing around with re-inkers, and we're doing a baby wipe technique. I don't know if you've heard of this before, but it's a fun technique I love to use for fall cards because I love how you can mix the various colors together and kind of get a variegated color, which is what a lot of the leaves in my yard look like. So I'm excited to share it with you. If you like and share this video, please let me know. That's how you get entered into the prize patrol drawing, which means that when I'm done with the card, I'm going to mail it to somebody who's watching. And because I'm doing it after the fact, now you can claim, or like and share in the comments and during a replay before I do my next live. Okay. So Monday's winner from 1021 is Laura Kemp. And then Thursday's winner, 1024, is Louise Haydu. So if the two of you can go to queenbeecreations.net and then up there in the address bar after the .net, put in Prize Patrol, and then it'll direct you to a Google form where you can give me your address on where you would like that mailed to. So let's move into the card. I'm trying not to be stressed. I've got a heart rate monitor on because the doctor's watching my heart rate, so I'm trying to de-stress. So hopefully everything goes smooth today. I'm going to move you down onto my desk and show you what we're doing, and then I'm going to hide this little box because it's in the way. So this is our card. So we do have a little bit of a fun fold to it, but I made basically focusing on the technique. And this is the baby wipe technique, and you can use any kind of baby wipes. I have some over here in a little container. It says Huggies on it, but I think I've refilled it with a generic something or another. But you do want to use a wet baby wipe. I know years ago when I first found this, I couldn't figure out if the baby wipe was supposed to be wet or dry. And it does work well when it's wet. So you're going to take a wet baby wipe and fold it up, and then we're going to drop inked onto it. And then this is going to become our ink pad, and this is what we're going to do our stamping from. So I'm going to get a little piece of plastic. You could also just put it directly on your glass mat, but since my glass mat is covered up so it doesn't give glare, I'm going to put it on a little piece of plastic. This is one of my plates from the mini cut and emboss machine. But anything, just to keep it from getting ink everywhere, because it is going to get a little bit messy, but it is something that you can use the re-inkers for. I always encourage people to buy the re-inkers when they buy an ink pad. Stampin' Up! Has informed us that when you buy the ink pad, you should buy the re-inker at the same time, because that's the best way to try to get it out of the same dye lot and the same formula. Over the years, Stampin' Up! Has changed the formula that they're using in their inks, and if you buy them at the same time, then you're sure to get the same formula, hopefully same dye bat, all of that. They are the same, but there's little subtle differences that I guess will give you a better chance at re-inking. I mean, all of our re-inkings work well. I'm not going to say that you can't use an old re-inker on a new pad, but the new ones are non-foaming, and there's little changes. Anyway, I always buy a re-inker because I love the colors. And when you re-ink, what you would do is you would put a couple drops all over the top of your pad, and then you're going to rub it with the back of a spoon, and that spoon is going to push the ink down into the pad so that it's not all sitting on the top, because we all know that our ink pads, they store upside down. As I close this, it turns the ink pad upside down, so all the ink is settling on the top. You also might want to just rub with the back of the spoon if you get a brand new ink pad, and when you're inking it up, you get little I don't know, air bubbles. That may mean the pad is too juicy, and I have heard some Stampin' Up! Demonstrators say blot it off with a paper towel, those sorts of things. You might have to, but I kind of rather not. I kind of like to save the ink that I have and be able to use it. I don't want to put it all on a paper towel, but you know, whatever. So I'm going to pull out some reinkers that I'm going to use. I am pulling out, let's see, Old Olive. I have Wild Wheat, Crushed Curry, and then Copper Clay. This one, I guess, fell off, but I have a tendency to put a little tiny dot on the top of each one of my reinkers, and that is just a standard hole punch. I think it's 1/4 inch, and it will punch out a piece of cardstock. I put it on a mini glue dot, and I put it on top because inevitably, whenever I have them stored, either in my container on their sides or in my drawer, you don't get to see what color they are. And even when you look at them, I mean, the print's a little tiny and I'm old, so I like that I can put the little colors on the top, and then that does help me find the right ones. I'm going to go ahead and just do some little drops of ink. And I'm just going to go randomly kind of around. We all know I'm not very good with random, but I'm trying. Let's see. So I've got Crushed Curry. Let's use some Copper Clay. I'm going to throw in a little bit of Old Olive. Some Wild Wheat. And I kind of just want to make this a little bit bigger than whatever stamp I'm going to be using. So I'm going to be using the Changing Leaves bundle. This is what we used on our last card. On Thursday, we worked a lot with the hybrid embossing folder, where I showed you how you could put your die inside the embossing folder and then run it through the machine, and it's going to cut and emboss at the same time. Let's see how big these are. So I'm going to pull out my stamps. So I'm going to pull out 2 different leaves, and then I'm going to pull out a sentiment. I like this, just a little note. And when I mount my sentiments, I'm going to set them on a straight line on my grid paper, and then I'm going to press down with my block, also aligned on the grid paper, to pick it up. And that's going to hopefully make sure that stays nice and straight. The other ones, we're just going to pick up with the block. I tend to leave my photopolymers on the desk and then pick them up this way, because that allows the photopolymer to just kind of relax and stay in the form that it's designed for. I guess I don't want it bent. I mean, sometimes I will take a word sentiment or something and I will bend it on purpose and stick it to the block, but most times we want to keep it how it is. That's going to fit my leaves. They're going to fit right inside there, so that's great. And then I'm going to take a piece of cardstock. I have 2 pieces here that are very vanilla. This one happens to be thick, very vanilla, so I'm going to go ahead and use that one for the front of my card, since when it opens, it's just that plain layer over there. So if I have the choice, I'm going to use thick. You don't have to, but I'm going to just because I happen to have it on hand. I'm going to start with my larger stamp, and I'm going to ink it up, kind of watching to make sure that I'm picking up enough ink. And then I'm going to set it down on my project. And then lift up. And see, here we have this beautiful variegated color. If it's not enough ink, you may want to go in there and just add a little more. And the thing is, when I do this, I usually make a whole bunch of cards using this technique and these colors. I may switch up the design that I'm doing and make them you know, different folds, but once I have used all the re-inker on this, it's best if I make a lot of them, right? I mean, once you have all the ink, might as well. So I'm starting with my largest design in the middle, and then I'm going to take my next one, and then I'm going to kind of go into the V kind of. I went kind of in there so that it's touching. I'm going to try to mix them up so that they are varying kinds of leaves. And then I'm going to also twist them around and try to get different angles of the leaf and fill in a lot of the blanks. Again, I'm not very good at random, so I'm already citing a pattern. Not what I intended to do, but it's hard to talk and stamp at the same time and think about where I'm placing things, because I'm one of those overthinkers, you know. And I'm not even really cleaning off the stamp in between. I don't find it necessary. Some people clean in between every time they use it because you are going to muddle the colors together. But because that's the technique I'm going for, I kind of don't care if the colors are muddled, right? That's what I wanted to do, was muddle them. Now I'm just kind of going around the outside edge and making sure that I've kind of filled in some holes. And I'm just kind of twisting around the paper because I try to keep the paper the part that moves rather than my hand, because I don't want to make my hand uncomfortable as I twist things around. Also, I see a lot of people do this at fall. I mean, I do it a lot at fall because I love the look of the fall colors. But I've also got a few videos out there where I have done it with pastel colors or some bright colors and just made something different. So don't think that you have to stick with any particular set of colors. Stampin' Up! Has just come out with a color wheel, or they're going to. As demonstrators, we were allowed to buy one in advance, so you may want to pick a few colors that go in together. Like I could see a really pretty variegated with these three colors here, or you may want to like move across from one another and do, you know, your triadic in it. Lots of different ideas, but try and play around and experiment with it and come up with some different combinations. Okay, then we can make our card. Oh, I want to do one more stamp, by the way. I wanted to make my inside match the outside, so I'm going to take this. I'll ink up one more time, and I'm going to come down here in the corner and just see that it matches. Okay, my card base is a standard card base, 5.5 by 8.5, scored at 4 1/4, and then I also scored it again at 2 1/8. Okay, and so that's going to allow me to do a valley fold on the very center, which is what we normally do, but then I'm going to do a mountain fold with this outside one. And so that's going to give us this kind of look. And then I'm going to burnish. I usually do that with a bone folder. A bone folder is something Stampin' Up! Sells. I'm sure you can get them elsewhere, but it's just a great tool for flattening things out. And at first I didn't think I really needed one, but I have noticed how much crisper and cleaner my score lines are since I got one of these, but I've also done it for some different techniques and stuff. I have taken the bone folder and then maybe set a piece of cardstock into like the Simply Scored or my trimmer, and you can use the tip of this as a scoring tool as well. And did you know that you can just take a scoring tool of some sort and just make a frame around your project or whatever it is you happen to be making. And then this would be a really pretty layer. Obviously it's too big, but you know, if you had cut that to the right size and then set that as a layer, it's a really nice accent. But like I said, there's more reasons to use the bone folder. Okay, back to our card. So I'm going to put my fold sections over here on my left, and then I'm going to add some adhesive only on the left side, and I'm going to then center my layer overall in the whole card, but I don't want any adhesive over on this side because that would obviously glue my card shut. So I'm going to come in with some adhesive. Like I said, keep it on this side. I'm watching that I'm not getting it in my outside frame. You know, we want to keep it all inside. And then I'm going to place my layer. Helene says she's seen this before, but it's a good refresher. That's great. See, sometimes that's why I go through my books and sometimes use my old patterns, because we haven't done something in a while. I mean, I made a pendulum card once and I ran across it today and I'm like, I haven't done one of those in a while. That could be really fun. So there's a lot of things that like disappear and come back over time just because we're reminded of them. You know, like everybody did the shaving technique for a while, the shaving cream, and then it kind of disappeared for a while and then it came back. But that's where you fill a tray or something with shaving cream, and then you dot the re-inkers on top of it and then swirl it with the bone folder maybe. And then press your cardstock down into it and then wipe it off with a paper towel or something, and then it will reveal kind of a marbleized effect on the paper. That's kind of fun to do. Okay, so now I have my basic card together, and now I want to put a sentiment on the front. And so I'm going to bring in my mini cut and emboss machine. Get my ink out of the way. So I'm going to use the tiny one because we can use the mini on the screen. It doesn't take up too much room. I love the portableness of our little machines. They are labeled the same, so I'm going to use plate 1 and plate 2. And I'm going to add my cardstock and my die, and then we're going to add plate 2 again. And then I'm going to bring in our changing leaves dies, and I want this circle here. And then I want this oval here. And I'm doing this circle as an accent, just to give the sentiment a little bit of pop. Grab some scraps. So I'm going to use my oval for the sentiment. I'm going to cut that out of Very Vanilla. And then I'm going to cut a circle out of Copper Clay. That is one of the colors of the re-inker that we used. And then I'm going to run it through here. I have my circle, and then I have my sentiment. I'm going to push with my fingernail kind of along the edge of the die. It's a little more effort to push out the dies that have the stitching in them because the teeth kind of get stuck in the paper. So just press right along the edge. It'll come right out. And then you can see how I used the circle behind my sentiment just to give it a little bit of pop, because when I set my standard, you know, I ink this up. I did this in Copper Clay, but we can do this in this, you know. We can use the same variegated technique. Ooh, I like that. And then I can lay that on top of there and it'll make it stand out a little bit more. Because see, when I just set that down, I mean, you can see it, but you don't see it as well as you do when I do that. Okay, and I put the other one down on the bottom. You might choose to put it up in the top. I had made this bow the other day. I said I didn't use it because my sentiment was down at the bottom. You know, maybe I'd want to use that up at the top. Give it a little more extra something. And I'm going to mount one of these on dimensionals. I know I've said before that I only do one layer of dimensionals on my cards because I like to mail them. And when you get more than one layer of dimensionals on there, the post office says it's too thick to go in through a standard first class postage stamp. So if you're going to hand deliver, you could by all means pop both of them, but I'm mailing mine, so I'm only popping one. And then I happen to have some of my little swirl dots from the Latte Love. And I think some of those would look really pretty on there. You could do the brass butterflies. That brass would go well with that. Several different things over here. I don't know what I did with my pearls. I had them out on the desk, obviously, because I used them and then lost them. But these are my clear rhinestones, and they look okay on there, but the silver is more of a cool color, whereas the colors I'm using are all very warm. So what I can do is I can take my Stampin' Write marker, and I can use these to color the embellishments. I used it on here, and I used the white iridescent pearls, and I put some copper clay ink over the top of them and then just change the color. You can also change the color of maybe your white or your very vanilla ribbon just by coloring it with the Stampin' Write marker. But I'm just going to just color right over the top, and it's going to stick because they are alcohol colors. This would not work with your standard Stampin' Write markers, but it does work well with the alcohol markers because they dry faster and they stick a little better. And I would tend to let these dry, but because we're on camera, I kind of need to move a little faster. So I'm going to try to not smear the ink on the top. And then go ahead and set them down. They usually dry pretty quickly, but as I've said, I usually let them dry. Let's put this up here. And one more. I'm doing 3 because we tend to want to do things in thirds. There we go. There is our card. I don't know what this fun fold card is. It's kind of a zigzag. I don't know the traditional name for it, but there it is using the baby wipe technique. Here we have colored some iridescent pearls, and here we did some clear rhinestones, changing them to copper clay. So does anybody have any questions about this? Any questions I can answer? I know it went kind of quickly. I try to keep my videos at about half an hour because I know that your time is valuable to you, and I appreciate you taking time to spend with me to learn something new. I will pull a winner on Thursday, so you have between now and Thursday to comment that you've liked and shared. Please be honest. And then share the video with your friends, and you might get picked for Prize Patrol. The winners for the prize patrol for last time are running across the top of the screen. So congratulations to Laura Kemp for being the winner on Monday, October 21st. And congratulations to Louise Haydew for being our winner on Thursday, the 24th. So thank you for being with me, and I hope to see you back here on my channel on Thursday for another fun card. If you need anything Stampin' Up! Related, again, I would love to be your demonstrator and earn your business. And yes, hey, there's Ramona. I've known Ramona for years and years and years. So glad that you were happy to join on. And yes, there will be a replay. It's going to be on both Facebook and YouTube. So thank you so much for being here. And again, I'll see you Thursday. Thanks. Bye.